up, guys? So this is what you could call, I guess, my pre-workout meal or pre-workout nutrition. You know, I don't do a lot of shakes. Actually, I hardly ever do shakes. If you see this protein powder right here, it's called Elite XT by Dymatize. Nothing against Dymatize as far as the company. I actually think they're, you know, a high quality, high class company. They manufacture in a GMP certified facility and all of that. But I just cannot stand the taste of this stuff. It's chocolate or it's fudge brownie, and I tried doing sludge with it. I actually originally got it because I thought it'd be really good with sludge, you know, fudge brownie flavor. But it's just, all their proteins to me taste like chemicals. I mean, if you like the taste, you know, go for it because the quality's fine. But I'm not purchasing this item again. So I really just do shakes with it to get rid of it. But you see here, I've just filled up my shaker bottle with, hopefully I have 12 ounces of skim milk. And so 12 ounces of skim milk. And then this is actually I'm not sponsored by any means, but this is what you call a smart shake. And they have, like, a few different companies make these now, so they're pretty sweet though. And all it is they have, like, they come with these little compartments you can, like, screw on to your part of your shaker cup. So it's really convenient for me anyways, because I am pretty busy during the week, and I take like, I just had hopefully you guys saw my turkey and beans meal for my lunch meal, and then on Mondays I usually work out. I usually lift at like 9 o'clock at night, so I really could go like 4 or 5 hours without food. It probably wouldn't be a huge deal, but I don't like to, so I usually just take this to work with me. I'll just do 1.5 scoops of this protein powder. So there's a big compartment and a small compartment in these if you're not familiar with them. And they're pretty sweet. You can also just mix, you can also just pre-mix this stuff as well, but I'm just gonna do it like this. So yeah, I can strap that on there, screw that on there, and mix that whenever I want. I usually, if I'm gonna lift at like 9, I'll probably end up drinking at like 6:30 around there, just so I can have a little bit of food in my stomach. You know, during, you know, off season or whatever, when you're in a calorie surplus, it's not gonna be a huge deal because I'm like rarely ever hungry. But now that I'm prepping, I'm hungry quite a bit. So, and then for the other compartment, I can just take my pre-workout supplement, which is Tier 1 by Citadel Nutrition, and also have that. So again, I can have that at work around like 8:30 or so, and there we go. So you can put both of these on your shaker, and then, you know, if your workplace has like a break room or something, you can just put this in the fridge and then, you know, shake it up. So I usually just have, you know, meal 1, or my pre-workout meal, I guess, or shake, is the 1.5 scoops of protein powder with 1.5 cups of skim milk. And then, you know, about 2 hours later, I have my pre-workout supplement, and then I go out to the gym after work. So it's just an easy way that I think you can get meals in. You know, people bring their Tupperware and things like that. It works too. But usually I'm not that crazy busy. I can usually fit in like an actual meal, which I actually prefer over like a shake or something. But, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. So if you haven't checked in one of these called Smart Shakes. I'm not sure who makes them, probably Smart Shake, but yeah, Smart Shakes, I'll help you check that out. And I forgot to mention, make sure you get your daily dose of aspartame in at lunch. So, what's going on, guys? This is my 4th and final meal. I didn't get any footage at the gym. It was, of course, it's Monday, National Chest Day, and there were just like 1 million people in there. So I really couldn't film, but I guess I'll run down some things I did. I'll run through my meal real quick. What I have here is just 3 scoops of Smart Powder's vanilla whey protein, which is going to be a little over 60 grams of protein, and then 1.5 cups of strawberries. Question for my viewers: if you eat strawberries, tell me how you weigh them. I only have, not that it really matters, Xasio Fitness, you eat strawberries, hope you're watching this, but it doesn't really matter. I'm just kind of curious. I can never find a consistent way to measure grams in a cup. Like, I find calories for a cup on MyFitnessPal, but I don't know how many grams are in a cup. I measured it out. I think it's around 150, and again, it probably doesn't matter. I'm just kind of curious. So, what I have 1.5 cups of just chopped up strawberries. Dip it in the sludge. It's awesome. And then I have a little over a serving of this Brahms peanut cluster. Frozen yogurt. Wow, that is so good. I haven't had ice cream in like a week, so I will grab my training vlog real quick. I wanted to share this guy with you because I didn't get a film and I felt crappy about it, but it was my upper body power day. So most of the movements are in the lower rep ranges. I usually kind of cap out around like 6. You know, sometimes I'll push it up to 8 if I'm like warming up, but usually about 3 to 6 on most movements, multi-joint compound movements as you'll see. So I started off with dumbbell bench press simply because my chest sucks, as everyone can see. I mean, you know, you always need to prioritize your weak points in the beginning of your training because you'll have the most energy. So I worked my way up. My final set, 3 sets. My final set was a pair of 90-pound dumbbells for 5, which was a PR for me. I beat that of last week where I got 4. My second movement, I went on to T-bar rows, supported T-bar rows. I'm doing that this week because I'm going to deadlift tomorrow, so I want to kind of keep as much strain off my lower back as possible. I typically do barbell rows, but so I just kind of went heavy there, worked up 4 sets, all 6 reps. Then my third movement was incline hammer press. I love that incline machine. I also set a PR on that. I did 3 total sets, worked my way up to 4, I would say 4.5. But 4 reps of 200 pounds total. Again, I don't know how much the thing weighs. I just add up both sides of the machine. So on the third exercise, then I went to another back movement, hammer strength lat pull down. Again, I love hammer strength, even on power days. You know, people say you can't do, you know, machine work on heavy stuff, but you know, hitting the muscles. So I also hit a PR there. My last set, I did 3 total sets. My last set, I went 5 reps for a total of 180 pounds. So that was my main movements. And then I also did barbell overhead press. I hadn't done that in a while, and I really want to kind of get my weight back up in that lift. And I really don't have anything dedicated to shoulders on my typical upper body heavy day. So I did 3 sets of 7 at 115. I was really just trying to get the feel back, get the form back, really work on, you know, perfecting my form. I probably haven't done it in like a month or 2. So I threw that in there for shoulders. And then I did 4 total sets for bicep. I did 2 sets of alternating dumbbell curls. So kind of like a rest pause, you know, one kind of scenario. 2 sets of 6 with 40-pound dumbbells. And then I did 2 other sets of like a dumbbell concentration curl on like the decline little bench. You guys probably know what I'm talking about. I just did 2 sets of 8 to 10 with a 20-pound dumbbell. Just get a little more work in there for biceps. Again, I don't do a lot of bicep and tricep work. Even on my hypertrophy days, I typically just keep it pretty low volume. And then I typically do dips on this on my heavy day, but I wanted to kind of give, you know, my elbows, my shoulders and joints, my joints and my shoulders a break. So I decided to do tricep push downs this week. I'll probably jump into dips next week again. I did 3 total sets and worked my way up to a set of 7 for 120. So all in all, my volume was 6 sets for chest, 7 for back, 3 for shoulder, 4 for bicep, and 3 for tricep. I kind of keep a track of that. Also keep in mind that like I said 3 sets for shoulders, but you're also hitting your shoulders when you're doing like, you know, if I were to do dips, that's kind of hitting your shoulders, and if I'm doing like a press, it's definitely hitting my shoulders and whatnot. But I count direct work, and I try to hit between kind of a broad range, but in between 6 and 18 total sets for a week. I think that's pretty good for most people to stay in. So whether you want to do like, you know, just all of your sets on one week, like 15 sets for chest on Monday, or else you maybe want to do like 3 full bodies and do like 5 sets each week or each workout or something, you know, however you want to do it. But I think working in that total 6 to 18 total sets in a week for each muscle group is going to be beneficial. You know, I kind of do it as a point of, you know, 18 for the larger body part, so like, you know, quads, hamstrings, chest, back, and then I usually work more around you know, the 6 range or 6 to 10 total set range for smaller groups like bicep and tricep. You know, nothing crazy scientific. You know, it's kind of common sense. But hopefully you guys like these videos I put together. You know, 10 weeks out. My first meal, like I said, with the eggs and the wrap, the whey cake, and then second meal was the turkey burger with the beans and the spinach salad. Third meal was my skim milk and diabetes protein, which I had at work, and then this is my fourth meal. This may not be, typically ideal. I typically like to have more whole foods, but this is real. I mean, I'm a college student. I work, 50 hours a week right now during the summer. So I can kind of relate to people that, not like a professional bodybuilder who just, sits down and does nothing all day and signs autographs and nothing against them. I mean, they're making a living doing what they love. It's awesome, I'm just saying, like, real people have real lives and real jobs. They can't sit down and eat every 3 hours. So hopefully this is this can give some light to how you can kind of balance things. Also, just like when I'm cooking food or I'm not kind of sitting around doing nothing, just some tips for people, especially, anyone in contest prep. Like when I was just letting my sludge freeze and stuff for like 15 minutes post-workout, I was just setting up my morning breakfast, setting up my coffee. Tomorrow I'm having some oatmeal and peanuts and sludge. So I just set that stuff out. I also like to just kind of have a little like to-do list. Again, this is really kind of general stuff. Doesn't really have to do with bodybuilding, but to me it really helps just kind of take a lot of the stress away and all the unknowns away. I'm just kind of like that. I'm a technical kind of person like that, I guess. There's probably I think it's called type A personality. I actually think it's called, or type B or something like that. But it helps me, so maybe it'll help you. Hopefully you guys like this little series I put together, like I said. So thank you guys for the support as always. I am a little under 10 weeks out from my show. I'm gonna enjoy this ice cream and the strawberries and this sludge. So thank you guys, and I hope you